video, we're talking about the Underdog's Guide to BattleTech. When you're on the ropes and things are not looking your way, we've maybe got some tips on how to help you and how to be an underdog. Yes. So we've all had those games. Even if it starts out equal, suddenly it's not going your way. You're outmaneuvered. You're outgunned. There is hope. There is hope for you.
Get good, son.
You did good, son.
Get good. Roll better.
So there are some weapons that are not necessarily on the battlefield that you can use when you are the underdog. All right.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
Yes. So the first one.
Psych your opponent out.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. Psychology. Okay. It's been proven time and time again in war and in other situations, even when someone's trying to buy a car, all that sort of thing. There is strategy. There is tactics. All right.
So when you're at the table and you're trying to have this fun social game, what you do is you stare at the opponent. And they get all intimidated and they make mistakes. That's instead of, cool.
And they quit. So you've given me the evil eye.
Hey, that's a win by default.
Yes,
I win.
True. Win by default is good.
Win by default is still a win. Oh dear.
I think it's more to do with sort of looking at stories about underdogs and who's going to be the winner. Hello, dog.
There's the dog.
Actual dog.
And this is where scenarios are particularly good. If you can actually design a one-off scenario where there is a clearly defined underdog who has insurmountable odds to see if you can achieve them just for the giggles, just to see if you can do it. They are worth doing. They're worth trying out.
They can be a lot of fun.
And see how you go. Yeah, and you can mix the technologies. You can have clan versus industry. It's fine. As long as you sort of are clear about what sort of scenario rules you're going to have, it can be fun to play a scenario where there is an underdog.
And I would recommend, if you're going to do that, like I did in the scout thing, that you have this as fairly simple and then you alternate. So one person gets to be the less, like the outgunned, the underdog, and then you switch and you see how well the other person does, which is kind of fun.
But you'll find that, in a lot of battles, it's going to sort of be changing left and right and sort of who's got control. But if you're starting a scenario when there's someone who's clearly the underdog, it can be quite the challenge. But they're a lot of fun. So one of the things to keep in mind when you're the underdog, you've got less resources generally to use. So it's a matter of knowing when to play it safe and when to sort of push forward. All right. So first things first, once you see what's on the field, your opponents, you have a look at what you have, and it's about priority targets.
Pressure to a point.
Pressure to a point. That's exactly right. So Taryn has a favourite little unit that has always been good, the LRM carrier.
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, dead set.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take an LRM carrier if I knew I was going to be outnumbered or outgunned, but yes.
Yes. But if you can keep that sucker behind some cover and just do some indirect fire, it is actually quite good for that purpose.
If you're playing one, I would say generally speaking, the underdog in BattleTech would be the one with the least PV. Probably. You would set it up so that one person has more and one person has less. I've had a few ideas for scenarios like this. And you could then say, okay, LRM carriers or at least missile boats of some description, and then something small and cheap that goes forward and gets you those hits.
That's right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with your target priority, looking at what your enemy has is of paramount, and then you have a look at what you field and just basically get an idea of what your priority target is. Now, indirect fire LRMs to provide extra fire support can help pretty much anyone, as long as the weapon's within range, which it usually is. Most people play a lance on a single map, so you've got plenty of room to move there.
Yep.
All right, but target priority with what you've got, working out what's going to give the enemy the most problems if that particular unit goes down is where you really need to be looking. But you've got to be careful that they're not onto what you're targeting as well. They might, maybe, it could be just a fake. You start shooting at a unit that they think is the one they want down, and they just move it back, and that's all you wanted. You just wanted it out of the way. So even if, he wins initiative and your opponent has to pick a unit, it's going to move one that's out of the way and a far away. It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So keeping units at bay can actually be quite useful.
I think the targeting priority thing would be a really high thing here.
I think so, yeah.
But that, like I said in the tactics one, if you have to remember that it isn't always necessarily the biggest, scariest thing that is your targeting, your top priority.
Oh no, that's
you
right.
You want things that are going to win the mission for the enemy, and you want to prioritize taking them out. But sometimes it is the highest, the biggest, nastiest thing. So it's up to the scenario. It's a decision you have to make on the day.
Yeah, true.
And
depending on what your objectives are and things like that, but if you can somehow find a unit to be a bit of a distraction, to maybe sort of maneuver, you might only be after only one unit out of a handful that actually come in and move to where you want them. It's just that one unit that you want, and then you can just sort of fade back. If you've got the time to play the scenario, all these sorts of things.
That's it. Yeah.
So there's just some little tips and things like that for being the underdog. If you have some more, leave some comments for us. Share it with the community so we can all figure it out too.
What have you done when you were outgunned? Tell us below.
Tell us
in the
below.
comments.
That's right.
I got a thumbs up.
Bye.
Bye, guys.